Welcome to Relentless Pursuit with Marjorie Dudley. Real conversations with entrepreneurs, business owners, and leaders who refuse to settle. This isn't about overnight success. It's about the decisions, discipline, setbacks, and standards that shape extraordinary results. If you're building something that matters, you're in the right place.
Hello and welcome to Relentless Pursuit with Marjorie Dudley. Today I'm so excited to welcome our guest, Kristin Hoogheem. She's the head of marketplace at Offsite.com in the travel space. Welcome, Kristin.
Thank you. Hey, Marjorie. Great to be here.
I'm so glad to have you. And you've got such an incredible journey because you've been in the travel industry for the last 10, 15
years, yeah.
15 years. So travel has obviously seen, COVID was probably one of the wildest times, but I also imagine before that as well. So tell me about the travel space and tell me some of the things that you've seen in your time in this industry.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it has changed a lot. It's obviously been disrupted quite a bit. Earlier on in my career, I realized how complex travel really is, right? There's so many different elements for a leisure trip, for a group trip, for all different types of travel. And I realized that the tech industry is going to continue to, evolve that.
Yes.
And we have to keep innovating and, working with it and leveraging it to make all of that easier. So that's how I ended up kind of where I am now is trying to help, influence where, what's being used within travel, what types of tools people use when booking. But there's always that personal approach is always kind of needed to really understand what somebody really wants when it comes to travel, because
right.
AI and tech isn't going to be able to fully understand that.
Kind of the best of both worlds. Personal touch, human interaction, but leveraging tech to make things efficient and consumer friendly and all that. It's interesting you use the word, disruptions, because back in, this is going to date me. I think about 2003 or 4, I sold bus ads. And the travel agencies then were just shutting down. Like they were just shuttering like crazy. They used to be a big bus ad clientele, and they were like, they were going away because of all the, what was it at that time? Like, I don't even know some of the websites, but we all know them. But and then we've more recently seen a resurgence in travel agencies and humans engaging tech to travel. So talk about the disruptions that you've seen, and then also how you've seen your company and even others leverage those disruptions to actually be a value proposition.
Yeah, I think a lot of agencies used to be more booking resources, right? It's like someone would come to that agency and say, I want to go here. How do I book it? Or what does that look like? And it would be mainly just booking air travel, booking hotels, not necessarily curating itineraries that are fit for that traveler. So when, different tools, websites, and we have all kinds of websites now where you can search your own airfare, you can make bookings, you can do all of that. But what has evolved is that curation for, whether it's a leisure trip itinerary or a group travel itinerary, fully understanding like how to curate an itinerary, how to find venues that are the best fit for the person or the group, and then having in-destination partners to deliver on the ground an excellent experience, service, make sure they have the support they need if something goes wrong. There's a lot of different things that will always, travelers will always need to think about. And that's where kind of an expertise or, you need to leverage somebody in order to make like a really exceptional experience happen flawlessly, smoothly, especially when you're dealing with a large group. Offsite has definitely stepped into that space as a tech partner. Offsite.com is it's a curated marketplace. It's similar to Airbnb, but it's for group and company offsites for bringing teams together. So that's essentially, but we also definitely have the service aspect behind it. So no one's ever just on their own, like we are supporting, we're making sure that, they have the inventory and all the different destinations as well as on-ground partners. So
I think I love the word curate because I talk to some people who are fully embracing AI, and I talk to other people who are scared of it and haven't even, haven't ever even put one prompt into chat or any of the LLMs. But what's interesting to me is the fear there. And there are some things to maybe be wary of, but some of the fear is based around, will it replace me? Will it replace, our jobs? And what I hear you saying and what I happen to believe is we still need a human to curate experiences. AI can gather large amounts of data and synthesize it and do certain things and other kinds of tech too, but can do lots of things for us. But the differentiator comes in when we're curating it. And I think that that's probably applicable to lots of industries, not just travel. But how can you, as the human, if AI is impacting your world, and I'm guessing it's impacting everybody's world to some extent, but if AI is impacting your world, how can you, as the human, be the curator of that and not just the data collector? Because AI is definitely going to data collect better than any human can. So that's really a good point.
You're actually speaking directly to my role. Like, my role is in the marketplace and building relationships and partnerships with hotels, with on-ground transportation companies, activity providers in destinations all over the world, speakers and facilitators that come in. There's all of these different pieces, and those are just a few of them. We have swag and partners and all different types of vendors. But the difference is that having relationships and partnerships with all of these people, that makes the experience, it makes it better. It makes it, like, for example, we recently had a group that they were having like an issue with something within their venue and their contract, and we were able to save them like $60,000. We were able to vouch for them because we had a global contact at a really high up like hotel chain that was able to step in and make it better and just resolve the issue, right? And if you do everything yourself and you try to, you're not gonna be able to leverage partnerships in the same way, and you're also not gonna have the best on-site experiences either, because anytime you travel, you want someone in the destination that lives there and fully understands everything about the destination.
Totally.
Because if you're even just trying to get from the airport to, your hotel, that can be a very different experience if you're kind of winging it versus if you have somebody trusted that's going to guide you there and it's going to be a great vehicle and all those different, there's all these different details that can be curated along the way. And relationships are a big part of that and leveraging those.
And relationships cannot be taken over by AI. What are some of the biggest challenges that you face on the day-to-day, just being in the travel space, working with travelers, working with hotel chains and all the different points of contact across all the different functions that someone may need? Mm-hmm. What do you see? What comes up for you that is kind of the hard parts that maybe people on the outside don't always notice?
I think with travel, especially group travel, there are so many details. There are a million details. You can get caught up for hours just on food and beverage minimums and meeting space details and how is a group going to move from one room to the next, and you have 300 people and you have to move them flawlessly. And there's so many, when you're dealing with group travel, every minute of an itinerary of a day can go really smoothly, or it can be, kind of influenced poorly. And so I think it's a lot of how are things handled when things don't go completely as expected. Because within travel, sometimes oh shoot, flights are canceled, weather is terrible, or something's happening in this destination and maybe we need to pivot a little bit. Or, there's those types of things happen. Like, we can't avoid unexpected ththings in travel. So I think that's what we try to do, is just like, we know how to roll with punches. We know how to keep things moving smoothly, keeping everybody calm. And that's what our, team does directly with clients. But I think there's just a lot of those types of things that come up. I think it's also like when it comes to selecting venues and vendors, anybody can just go into AI and say, where should I stay? And it'll show pretty pictures of all these different things. But I feel like understanding the on-site experience is really important.
Yes.
Like, something can look really pretty and Instagrammable, but when you're there, how's the service? What's the food like? Like, how, there's these different things that are not always.
Totally. Yeah, my mom and I are about to take a trip to Poland, and the having that done for you so we don't have to worry is magical. And having someone, I mean, and I know some people are more savvy than this, but I can't imagine trying to coordinate 20, 30, 40 people and deal with all the individual, that's 20, 30, 40 people with, a half a dozen or a dozen points of things that could go wrong. The transportation and the bags and the flights and the exchanges and all that. And so it's really helpful to have someone that can actually tell you about boots on the ground. What is this going to be like, and help you navigate through what's hiccuping. Now, your organization, Offsite.com, has seen some pretty significant growth in the last few years. What do you attribute that to?
So the company actually started in like 2021. So it's only a few years young, actually.
It's a COVID baby.
It is. It actually was founded shortly after the pandemic, when a lot of companies were starting to go remote or hybrid. So kind of leaning into that, the importance of bringing people together and bringing people together for shared experiences. So a lot of companies do that, but some companies are completely remote or hybrid and need to do that. I would attribute growth to, several different things. I think we are all, laser focused on our own roles. Like we know exactly what our key results are supposed to be, and we work together as a team to work towards those. But I think it is just also like really caring about this industry. Like I think we all kind of have a passion for this and, want to make an impact here. And I think we have had, several things along the way that have kind of maybe shooken us up a little bit, but it doesn't hold us back, right? Like we know how it's like working through the challenges is really important.
I heard you mention we all know our key results. Do you guys track leading and lagging indicators for each person, or what do you do so that we can be confident everybody's moving forward in their lane?
Yeah, we absolutely track. We track every week. And we don't have a lot of meetings that talk about it. Like we set our OKRs. We know exactly what we're all working towards.
What's OKR?
Sorry, objectives and key results.
Oh, I love that.
So we have our objectives and our key results, and we know what we're supposed to be doing and working towards it, and we can support each other as needed. But we stay in our lanes as much as we can on the day-to-day to drive those results.
And do you use a system for tracking, like a CRM type of system that might track certain things, or what is the tracking that works for you all?
I think it kind of varies by person.
Okay.
We have like a CRM that the sales team uses for leads and marketing. We also have, like, I use different tool, for managing all our vendor partnerships and our, relationships with all the different contacts. So I think it kind of varies depending on the person, whatever works best for each individual.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I know some companies adopt like a Monday.com, and everybody's OKRs are in that form. So yours gets to be kind of person by person. Doesn't matter how you do it, just that you do it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a cool business philosophy. Now, you also mentioned some challenges along the way. What challenges can you share, and particularly what you or the company faced and how you got through them? Because I think the essence, when growing and scaling something amazing, there will be problems. Like, it's never smooth sailing. It's kind of like building a house for the first time, or a new construction home, where everything's going to be a little over budget and take a little longer than you plan. That's the same thing with building a company. There's going to just be problems that we didn't anticipate, mistakes made, whatever. So what challenges did you see, and how did you and your company adapt to those in a way that were really good lessons learned?
I think it's a lot about, as you're building a company, there's no set processes or systems. Right? Like you're selling something, you're delivering something, but you're building the processes and the systems as you go. So you kind of learn what's working and what's not as things are going well or not going well. So if we have an unhappy client and something goes wrong, we realize, okay, we should probably anticipate that need ahead of time. Let's change that process. Let's change that system. Now let's implement that for every future client. Like, It's
I love
doing a
that.
lot of that. It's making, it's reiterating to make sure that there's that consistent process across all the, across everybody. So I think that, yeah, it's a lot of, finding what processes and systems work the best as we work
Right.
through.
How do they get implemented? And I'm fascinated by this because I work with a lot of clients and we talk about that very thing of, if something happens, maybe if it's a weird one-off, it's not like we have to retool, but if we're seeing a little bit of a pattern, it happens a second time, a third time, it's like that's a yellow or red flag that we're missing something in our process. And now we've got to figure out what would prevent that. But it's not enough to just know what would prevent it. We actually have to implement. So, can you describe a time, like how did you actually implement a new process and really make sure it sticks? Because that's another piece is sometimes people implement something and because it's new and uncomfortable and weird and whatever, it'll fade in 2, 4, 6 months. So how have you guys been really good at implementing and making sure those processes stick?
I think it is, yeah, definitely tracking the process. I think implementing it is just a matter of doing it and holding teams accountable to doing it, right? Like I think like just a kind of an example is like showing clients the ROI of an offsite, like the value that is brought by leveraging, a company like ours. Like there's things that you can implement in the beginning, right? Like you have your team take a survey, you fully understand where what's going really well, what needs to be improved, what types of things you want to execute at that offsite to drive those key things that you want to happen there. And then after the offsite, you do another survey that like actually wraps it all up, that kind of you fully
Okay.
understand the bigger picture. That's just one example, right? Like you don't have to do something like that, but when you do something like that, you telling the client they can fully understand where all their team members are, what the key areas of focus need to be. And yeah, I think as far as implementing it, it's just doing that. So it's like, if you find that works and that's, helps clients fully understand and helps the teams understand, then you do that every time for every client.
Right. Lather, rinse, repeat. And certainly try to build in check-in or kind of full circle systems so that I always think of it as I ran not well, but I ran track in high school and I did a couple relays. And when you are the baton holder, your job is to get the baton into the next person's hand, not for them to try to find the baton from you. And I think of a lot of implementation of systems as being like that model, where whoever has the baton in that moment has to get it into the next person or system's hand. And when you do that, then there's a trigger or response, the grabbing of the baton, that puts that system or that person or that tool on notice to then take the next step. And so as long as you have that pass the baton clearly defined and you know where it's going to go, and then ideally, travel is obviously there's a lot, everything you do is customized. But there's probably a bunch of repeatable steps even in the customized process. And so making as much as what you can make repeatable is critical for processes sticking to. You can't have, we kind of do it this way some of the time, but then other times we kind of do it this way. And we kind of like that leads to usually process breakdown in my experience.
Right. And that actually speaks to the marketplace, like, right? Like instead of when a client wants to go to Nashville or Italy or Greece, wherever it is, like we don't start from scratch. We have a curated marketplace. We've already sourced and built partnerships with, venues in these destinations that are great fits for company offsites, right? We've already filtered out the ones that have great meeting space in a good location, in a safe location, have enough bedrooms to maybe fit like good group sizes. All these different, have on-site food and beverage. Like there's all these things that it's like, we don't need to reinvent the wheel every time. We can guide. It's like, here's what would be a good fit. But if we don't have it in that marketplace, we can also source more custom and find something that would be a better fit as well. So,
I love that.
I don't need to start from scratch.
What have been some of the growing pains of being a part of such a rapidly growing organization? Because growth does come with problems. I love the show. I'm going to just do a quick aside. I love the show Bar Rescue. Have you ever watched
I
it?
haven't, no.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I'm addicted to it.
Yeah.
Warning, spoiler, don't watch it with kids. He swears a lot. But
Mhm.
he goes into these failing, I think his name is John Tapper. I don't know. He goes into these failing bars where, the service is a mess and, the owners pouring free drinks for his buddies and they're bleeding money. And then he goes in to try to fix them, fix the menu, give the servers some training, give the bartenders better drinks, give the kitchen better processes and food. And really, it is a lot about processes. So it's a fascinating show to watch if you're interested in processes. Obviously, it's a reality kind of show. But one of the things he does is he'll take this floundering bar or restaurant and he'll bring 100 people at once into the location so that there's a stress test. Because when you have rapid growth, rapid expansion, the gaps will show themselves very, very quickly.
Yes.
Right? You will see where there are the breakdowns in the chain. And I think that's why I love it, is because through the stress test, he can see all the things. I mean, it's obvious that they're not doing well, but he can see specifically where the pinch points are. And so I think being a part of a rapidly growing organization, maybe not quite as dramatic as a TV show, but I think you experience a lot of those same things where when we're growing so fast, we feel some pinch points at different places. Speak to some of the pinch points that you guys had to work through in your rapid growth in the last few years.
I mean, one key thing is the sales team sells to a lot of clients, and we have a client success team that delivers for clients. But when sales really ramps up and there's tons of clients sold, well, then the client success team is strained and needs to hire very quickly. So I think over time, we've learned how to better anticipate what are our far-reaching but attainable sales goals, and how do we already have the system in place for having all the people that are already like hired or ready to go for when all of that happens. So it's a smooth delivery, because that's a main part of the growth, right? Is the selling, there's growth with that.
Yes.
But then if there's dips in the selling, then you have, then you have like over hire situations. You don't want that either. So I think that's, that was kind of a big part of it.
That's a big one. Right before us talking right now, I had a client and that exact conversation came up about, should we hire or shouldn't we? And when do we start? Because one of the things I've seen often is people will underhire and then they'll wait till they're busy. And now everybody's pinch hitting, everybody's filling in the gaps, everybody's strained. And then now we've got to find someone, interview them, which is time consuming, onboard them, and then train them. And all those things take a lot of time. And when someone's already strained, they usually cut corners in those steps. So they maybe don't interview as thoroughly, or they don't interview as many candidates. They maybe hire a little quicker. They maybe say yes to someone just because we need a warm body who can fog a mirror. And then they kind of haphazardly onboard and train them. And then they plug them in and throw them to the wolves. And then the person's mad because they were thrown to the wolves. And now, they feel like crap. And then everybody around them is mad because that person's screwing up and probably making mistakes that everybody has to go back and fix, and probably costing money that would have been spent if we just hired him 2 months earlier before we were exceeding capacity. And so we're just talking about what are the leading indicators that you should start looking and actually pull the trigger, even if you don't have that exact amount of business. Now, it's going to be different for every business, but one of my favorite quotes, I have a lot. One of my favorite quotes is from Wayne Gretzky, where he talks about skating to where the puck is going. I think he was interviewed and everybody's like, what makes you so good? And he said, everybody's skating to where the puck is. I'm skating to where the puck is going. And to me, that's exactly what that phrase means in business, particularly around hiring, is what are the signs? What are the leading signs that you should be getting someone teed up. And also hiring can take 6 months. So if you have I think we'll need someone in 6 months, well, then you might need to start now. So that is a huge challenge, particularly for folks who are scaling quickly.
Yeah.
How do you guys team build all being remote? I mean, I know being remote is really common now, so maybe that's not quite as,
Number one way we
strange as it used to be.
The number one way we do that is we take company offsites. We bring our teams together in various fun locations, and we share in experiences together, we align and we set goals and we get to know each other in over offsites. But we're very active, like on Slack, so we have fun channels, right? It's not just all work. We have channels,
fun.
we have channels by department, but we also have just for fun channels, so we know like the books that each other's reading and the pets and the kids and the fun hikes that people are doing. Like we engage in that way all the time. So it actually is really
I want to talk about all these.
It's really fun because I feel like in other settings, maybe like in an office, you don't always know what everybody is up to, but in actually a remote setting, everybody is in the same kind of situation. So you see what everyone's doing. Like you kind of feel like the personal and the work side.
I love that.
Yeah.
Explain Slack for people who don't know it. I use it, but not super effectively. So explain Slack and explain some of the channels that you have.
It's a tool for teams to basically work online and remote together. So you can essentially, create various channels. You can create like stand-ups if you want to know what people are working on, if there's any blockers, if they're, what they accomplished yesterday, or like.
Is a blocker like a barrier, like what's getting in your way?
Like if somebody, so you kind of share like if there's any blockers or like those types of things where you can help each other and support each other. So you really know like the headspace of kind of your team, but also the company as a whole. And then within Slack specifically, you can create any channel. So you can create it by department or by project or event.
What are some of the fun ones?
Like we have, like a reading channel. We have a just for fun. We have a pets of offsite. Yeah, we have wellness and like, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a health and wellness kind of fun. You can share workouts or, different, things like that.
I love that. So that helps you.
A wins channel is fun because then anybody can share like their wins.
Love that.
Yeah.
That is a great idea. Excuse me. That's a great idea for anybody who has remote team members to find ways to bring people together to celebrate wins and also to share blockers and collaborate on how we maybe can get through them. And also all the fun things. I love the idea of all the fun things. Yeah. It's like having little clubs. Like my daughter's school has all these different clubs. So you get to kind of like figure out what clubs you want to join. That's awesome. And then talk about your offsites and how they're structured in terms of like what makes a great offsite for your company, for other companies, in terms of balance of fun, but also getting kind of learning and goals in. Do you bring spouses? What's your advice on all that?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the company. For us, we found that it does help to bring plus ones on occasion. That does really help. I think, you fully understand like, you can kind of see another side of somebody, which makes it fun. Our agendas typically are a balance of, work sessions, but also enjoying the destination, doing like an activity together. Several years ago, we were actually in Mexico. We did a team building activity where you build boats out of cardboard. Like, so you broke off into teams, build cardboard boats. Basically, you just had cardboard and tape, and you had to build a boat. And then you race the boats in the pool. So it was this cool pool that like beach, and it was really funny. The engineering,
and some people got extra competitive, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. So like everybody wants to win, you basically have to race your boat down and back. And I mean, our boat started taking water. Like you have to sit in the boat and like row, Ours started taking water like within the first couple seconds.
Oh my gosh.
The engineering team's boat, it was there and back, no water. It was a perfect boat.
Did they win? I feel like that's rigged.
Yeah.
The engineering team should have been broken up. Like
it was broken up, but I feel like there were a couple that were it had to be, it wasn't teams, but it was more engineering on that team. And I was like, that is so impressive how they built that.
Unfair. No.
Yeah. I was impressed.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's a team.
I love those. Yeah. I love those team building things that are competitive, but in a fun way and kind of in a creative way.
Yeah.
I think creativity is something that is not as, and tell me if you see this, don't see this, but I think creativity should be more infused into the work environment and the work that we do. And obviously Offsites is one way to do that, but there's just something that happens when you make people exercise that side of their brain.
Yeah. And so you see how certain people kind of really step up or show a side that you hadn't seen before. Like, some people really tap into that. It's fun.
Have you guys done any of the assessments, like the Myers-Briggs, Navigate? There's a bajillion of them. Have you guys ever done any of those?
We have. Yeah. Kind of
Are there any that are your favorites?
Not off the top of my head. There's not one
Okay.
that specifically stands out, but I do think those are fun and kind of helpful
Yeah.
to like understand how certain people think or, certain
Right.
values or think. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking in the back of my mind when you're talking about the engineer team. Was like,
Oh, yeah.
they're all these kind of, we do Navigate assessment, which is based on the DISC, Carl Jung, and the engineer types are definitely the detective label.
Yeah.
And the detective label is a lot, very analytical. But so one of the things that makes really great teams is really embracing a variety of different types, a variety of different, ours are fighter, entertainer, counselor, detective. And while sometimes you can butt heads, so I'm kind of fighter entertainer, so I can sometimes butt heads with those like counselor detectives. And
Yeah.
you can butt heads a little bit, but the strength happens because every one of those different types tends to see things differently. And they tend to notice things that the other type might miss or gloss over. So it's really interesting. What does your particular team look like? What are you, tell me about your team.
My team, we have 3 full-time team members. We are essentially building the marketplace as we have been over the last few years, and also supporting like our client success team, the ones that deliver. Our main role is to like make sure that there's the inventory necessary, the partnerships in place for when clients are searching for a different destination or searching for vendors that they need. I just had a request for, they need security on site, or they need insurance, or they need a lactation room for a mom that's going to be at an event. Like all these little partnerships that we help.
Interesting considerations. Yeah.
There's all kinds of different partnerships that we do as a team, but we also help a lot of venues and vendors with their listings, making sure they know how to log into their dashboards, making sure that they're responding to like proposals when there is a client that requests, sends a request for so it's anything under the umbrella of our marketplace. So yeah.
What's been the most interesting request or need you've ever fulfilled?
Oh man. It's funny. It's funny, like I actually think of something when I was on site for an event, and I remember they wanted, this woman arrived and she like needed her cucumbers for her eyes or something. And I was like, really? Like,
Isn't that in Cruella? Isn't that
is it? I don't know. I just feel like there's, it's like the joke about like, I need only orange M&Ms, or it's like, there's,
right.
I feel like there's things like that, or very particular requests. Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. And what's been, go on.
Oh no, I've had like, we can only stay in hotels that have like the kosher meals. So like that is something we have to work with the kitchens and the food and beverage teams, and everything has to be catered, like, or making sure that it aligns with those, religions or values. Yeah.
And what's been your favorite offsite to be a part of? Not necessarily as an attendee, but to help plan or help make happen.
I really don't think I could pick one, because I feel like immediately in my brain, so many different things pop up from different offsites. Like attending, like I met my husband on an offsite. Like we literally went on a
out.
to Colorado and I met him there. So like that's a really special one. I remember being on an event and someone came up to me, an attendee, and was like, "Can I tell you something?" And I was like, "Sure." And she's like, "This offsite has literally changed my life. Like I've never traveled outside my state." Like it's those types of things. We're like, really? This is okay. That's really cool. I mean, so sometimes there are those different like breakthroughs that you see. One time I planned an offsite. This was another ski one, and the team, we had them go up to like, they took a snowcat up the mountain to a restaurant, and then they took the snowcat down under the stars. They were all singing together like John Denver, like as the snowcat's coming down the mountain. Just those types of moments are so fun and memorable. And so I don't think it's like one offsite's the favorite because it was in this really cool destination. It's the experiences, it's the moments that happen that really, have an impact on people.
Have you had any very interesting, unique destinations that come to mind?
Yeah, I mean, we've planned everywhere, like Bali, Tokyo. All across Western Europe, but a lot, even in the US, like we have, a lot of every major city, Denver, San Fran. But it's also fun. Most of our groups stay within 90 minutes of a major airport, probably for, transportation purposes.
Yeah.
But I remember we had one of our first clients wanted to go, like, I think it was Louisiana. It was somewhere where it was like very remote cabins, like, which that's cool. That's great. They ended up having a really cool, like, nature immersed experience.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've done Alaska, we've done, Central America, like no Antarctica.
Is there any place?
But
Wait, say that. No Antarctica.
no Antarctica's just yet, but I've done that.
Who wants Antarctica? Call Kristin.
Yeah.
She'll get you set up.
Yeah.
Is there any place you wouldn't advise people to go?
I mean, I think it's always good to be aware of what's happening in different destinations. If there is a destination that's, on the ground, it isn't safe necessarily for people to travel, or, it's good to know risks of any destination. So I wouldn't say like every single city and country in the world is we're going to recommend. But for the most part, I mean, nothing like specific comes to mind.
Everything's open, but depending. Like there might be some places right now people maybe perhaps don't want to travel.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you guys also have someone on your team that facilitates the agenda, or you build out all the travel and they have their internal or external people with the agenda and the facilitation?
No, I think we absolutely want to, have an impact or have a hand in the agenda if that's what the client wants. Like our client success team. So we have kind of two models. One, like clients can go directly into our marketplace. They can find venues, they can send requests and book venues. If they want to also have us plan all the details, that's when we have a client success lead. Work with them to do everything. So, and when we have a client success lead assigned to the client, then they will absolutely help with understanding. It's not having a travel agent lens. It's having almost like a chief of staff lens when you're working with the client. You want to understand what are their goals of this offsite, and you don't just deliver all the logistical pieces. You deliver to those goals, right? So the agenda is definitely part of that. Yeah.
I love that chief of staff lens. That's really cool. And a while back, you mentioned something about communicating the ROI. What are some of the ROI data points from bringing your team together offsite?
I think it depends on what the client, like it's understanding where what the client wants and needs from their team. So it kind of varies by team. Like for example, if you have a company that's growing really quickly and they just hired 20 new people and they're all going to meet at an offsite, well, the goals might be different. You want to make sure that they have time to get to know each other, that they have time to meet various team members, right? You want maybe engaging sessions where they can feel like they can share and open up, like, right? Maybe it's kind of different. If you just laid a bunch of people off and you're bringing your team together, well, then you need realignment. You need there's different goals based on where the company's at and what's happening.
I love that.
Yeah.
Now, what are you doing right now, personally or professionally, that challenges you, or what have you done fairly recently? I'm fascinated by this concept of a misogi. Have you ever heard that from the Comfort Crisis?
Yeah,
I love that. And so not necessarily misogi level, but what are the ways that, I just believe all of us thrive when we're intentionally being challenged and embracing that challenge. So I'm curious, what are some of the challenges you choose to face or you get to face personally or professionally?
Yeah, I think I did a big misogi last year, and I'm kind of playing into that for this year again. We we took our kids to Europe for the first time. It was something that I really wanted to do. And my sister was actually, plays professional rugby, and there was the World Cup. So we're like, this is an opportunity. Let's make it
Nice.
happen. Let's go to a game. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. So that was kind of a misogi where I really wanted to get the kids passports and like make it happen. And we did. And of course, as much as I love travel, I'm like, okay, we want to do more of that. So I actually
Yeah.
don't plan out personal travels like super far in advance, because I feel like various things might come up that I want to always be able to say yes to. But definitely along those lines of continuing to have just like, impactful like travel experiences.
Any tips for people who want to travel, particularly cross-continental with children?
Tips? I think it's just book a flight, like it's sometimes.
Just do it.
Yeah, like I do think we overcomplicate things. Sometimes we think like we need permission, or like sometimes I think it's like if you really want to do something, it's like set the goal, set a timeline, start taking the steps. Like I actually got the kids passports because I wanted to go internationally before I ever knew where. I'm like, I just want to go
Okay.
internationally with the kids, so I'm just going to get passports. And even my husband was like, why are we getting the kids passports? I'm like, because I want to go internationally at some point with them. So just like taking
might
the
need
first
'em.
step, take the first step, and then what's the next step? What places would be fun,
I love that. Take the first step.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a great place to wrap up, is take the first step and do something that challenges you, maybe something that's a little on the outside of your comfort zone. Kristin, I just loved hearing your story of going through the bumps and the lumps and bumps of the travel industry over the last couple of years, and how you and your organization have been able to bring the best of both worlds, the human curated component with the tech and, high data and ease, and bring them together to make it easier for businesses to bring their teams together anywhere in the world. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I loved this. This was great. Appreciate it.
Where can people find you, and where can people find Offsite? Well, offsite.com, I presume.
Yeah, offsite.com. You can find me on LinkedIn. You might have to share my last name because it's not the easiest spelled, but
We'll put Hoogheem
there you go.
in the show notes so you can find it.
Yep.
So excellent. Thank you so much, Kristin. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Marjorie. You too. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Relentless Pursuit with Marjorie Dudley. If you want to build discipline, resilience, and results in your own work, that's what I help leaders and entrepreneurs do through coaching, speaking, and training. If today's conversation got you thinking about how you'd like to show up, you can find me through the links in the show notes. Until next time, stay relentless.